Yes, people, welcome back to Albert J TV with a joint collaboration with Canon Chatter. What a dream partnership, people. Match review time. But before we get into it, let's hit the intro. Euro 2022. England Lionesses. Captain Williamson. Serena Wiegman's Red and White Army. It's time to deliver. And there you have it, footballing community. Hashtag collaboration time. Streaming from both channels. Albert J TV meets Canon Chatter. Hashtag Euro 2022. And there you have it, people. Serene intro into Euro 2022, even though we're quite a few games in, but you know what I mean, people. As I say, people, smash the like button, not just for my channel, but for Canon Chatter as well. Get them algorithms up through the roof, through the sky, so God can give us a little blessing as well, people. But yeah, audio listeners, you will not be neglected. This will go out on my Spotify and Anchor so you can hear not only my dulcet tones, but the Penzance Queen's dulcet tones and Lottie Van Totti's dulcet tones as well. And I did say dulcet, not Dorset, as some people keep telling me. But yeah, people, like I said, I've got my two amazing co-hosts. So let me not keep them waiting because this is a boiling hot couple of days, man. Oof. But Lottie Van Totti, how are you, man? Another match review to go through. How you been?
Yeah, I've been all right. I've just completely cut down on social media, chilling out, enjoying the sun. So it's great. I've even got the tan lines of the Scotland flag on my back. So it's great.
That is fantastic.
I got caught. Not great because I'm English, but you know, I got caught.
Yeah, that's right. As long as you're enjoying the sun, not too much though. Yeah, I'm doing all right, man. I'm not looking forward to go and work for the next couple of days, man, because especially with the job I do. But you're gonna see a completely new man in the next 2 or 3 days. Believe me, you won't even recognize me, you two. But no, Lottie's great to hear from you, of course, and of course the Penzance Queen, the Van Basten of Penzance. G, Lil Trigger 2, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you. Been sat in the garden most of the day with a couple of Pims, chilling out. So yeah, just watched the matches as well. So ready to go.
Good. Glad to hear it. So people, let's have a little chat before we bring in our special guest in. National colours, not club colours today. So we'll part that aside for one day. But yeah, guys. So this is like we did the preview, 2 match reviews, and this is the first. So it's a full show in, man. Full collaboration show in, man. People in the chat, give us a virtual clap and round of applause because I think we all deserve it, all 3 of us personally, and both channels. So subscribe as well. So so guys, what are you making of the tournament as a whole in general? Obviously, we're here to support the Lionesses and Captain Williamson and Serena Wiegman's Red and White Army. But what have you made of the tournament as a whole so far? Starting with Lottie.
It's been absolutely brilliant. I mean, there's a lot of this is the last season or so I've probably been watching the WSL, obviously the Conti Cup and FA Cup for the women, and this has been a complete learning journey for me, and I've actually really enjoyed it. I mean, there's some absolute ballers out there. Few examples. So you got Lena Oberdorf from Germany. I'll be watching her, be keeping track of her career now. There's Bon Marti from Spain, Maria Leon. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see the Ballon d'Or winner, Alexia Putellas, but there's so much more talent on there. I mean, it's great to see finally Stina get her goal as well. I mean, G will tell me how many offsides there were because I didn't get to watch the whole game. I'm pretty sure. It's also good to see the current holders get through tonight as well, without Viv, which is pretty interesting. I'm probably going to watch that game back.
Yeah, 4-1 flattered them a bit.
So much talent, new records being broke. I mean, England now hold the record for the most scored goals in one match, which Germany held for 21 years, which was great. But yeah, no, it's been absolutely brilliant.
Well said, Lottie. And unfortunately, before I come to G, I saw yesterday. I was the day before yesterday, definitely yesterday. Marie Antoinette Katoto is out of the tournament for France, ACL. So that's very, very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. But G, coming to you, same question I fired at Lottie Van Totti. How have you made of the tournament as a whole? anyone else has caught your eye apart from the names you mentioned in previous shows? Or you can mention them again.
Yeah, just absolutely I love it. I've missed the odd couple when we've been streaming. And obviously now both of the games are on at the same time, so it's a bit hard to focus on two. So I just pick one really. But yeah, I mean, every game in its own right has been exciting. Obviously not maybe our game against Norway, but most of them have been quite competitive. You know, we haven't had a 0-0 yet, which is amazing, really, at this point. You know, everyone's sort of coming out to get the job done, whereas, you know, sometimes you see it in other games, the men's games, that they try and sort of play it out, play it safe. But these girls just get out there and do everything they can to get the job done. So yeah, every single game that finishes, I'm like, when's the next one? So already looking ahead to tomorrow. And then we'll obviously find out who the last quarterfinal game is going to be. But yeah, as Lottie said, it's interesting to see new names we haven't heard of before and how talented they are. Whether, you know, whoever they play for, it's really been eye-opening. But also as well, it's quite nice to see our Arsenal girls and even girls from the WSL that we do know doing well, because obviously we know what they're about, but it's nice to see them on the stage as well. And most of them have been quite good for their team. So yeah, it's going really well. At the minute, I'm just obsessed with Sweden. They've just got such good underrated players that I don't think many people sort of talk about. I obviously mentioned them before on the other ones, like Rolfo, Hannah Glass. Obviously we love Stina anyway. But yeah, they're just one of those teams. I think they're one of the favourites, but now they're starting to pick up their gear. It'll be interesting to see how they get along going forward.
Well said, G. We love a stat. No goalless games. But you know what? As much as I wanted to be, you know, join the many people said England. I mean, deep down, obviously, I want them to bloody win it, of course. But obviously, for you know, other alternatives, you know, I did say Sweden. So we'll see. So when you get to the knockout stages of a tournament, that's when the pressure really kicks in. There's going to be some top games, as there's already been so far. People, before I bring in the very special guests eagerly awaiting in the background, as you can see, people, Twitter handles are in each one of our hosts' boxes. So go and follow us on Twitter immediately. Don't multitask and just go and do it straight away. You can do it. And also it's going along the bottom of the screen as well. So let's bring in my other side North London wife. No, I'm not going to say the name, but it's a very special guest. We're going to bring in Miss Holly Agambar. Welcome to the Euro 22 collaboration with obviously Cannon Chatter and Albert J TV. Glad to get you on. And how have you been, Holly?
Yeah, I've been alright. I'm baking a bit. I'm like roast bacon at the moment. Obviously, my back is burnt. But it's vibes. It's the summer, isn't it? So that's what it expects. If you don't get burnt in the summer, then you're doing summer wrong, because you've got to get burnt at some point. It's just the way it happens.
That's very true, Holly. I'm feeling it as one of the brothers, but it happens. The heat, you can't beat the heat. But no, we're glad to get you on. We've had this in the pipeline for quite a while. Before we tuck into it, obviously you went to the game. On what day was it again? I've got out of my head.
Friday.
That's it. Well done, Holly. Well done. I'm glad you remember, because you was at the game. That's very important. You remember that. But yeah, talk to us about sort of your sort of anticipation, maybe a couple of days before the game, and being at St. Mary's and being well behaved and drinking loads of soft drink like as you did. Mm-hmm. But how was your match day experience and sort of the feel of the women's tournament and the Lionesses?
No, it was great. So obviously my daily routine when I go to games is to go to Spoons first. So that was obviously done properly. Only had lemonade, of course, nothing fruity, nothing too extreme. But no, we went there, met up with my mates, and then in the park in Southampton, as before you get to St. Mary's, they had like a whole women's Euros kind of set up fun day type thing. Yeah. I'm not too sure what time it started, but it looked like it'd been going on for quite a while. So that was quite cool. And then obviously when you arrived to St. Mary's, the place was packed. There was bands outside, the Northern Ireland fans all jumping around singing songs. There was people getting on the mic as well, having a sing song. So the atmosphere was great. And to be honest, I've never seen St. Mary's so loud before. Obviously, when I go to away games, my word, they're quiet, and it's just us Tottenham lot singing. But the whole ground from start to finish was immense. It was incredible. And like I said, it was good all round. And the Northern Ireland fans, credit to them, they never stopped singing the whole time. It was so good.
Before I bring G in, yeah, I think the attendance for the game was 30,785. It looked lively from on the screen. So, what time did you get to the ground?
I think I got there at like 6:45, I think. So about an hour and 15 before it like kicked off and stuff. But it was like when we got into the ground, there was a few seats still missing. Like you could tell that it was quite early, but it was still loud. Obviously, everybody gets those clacker things that they can bounce about.
Yeah, me and Lottie have got us, still got us, still got us, still got us.
And I think that's great because even the kids can get involved with it and stuff. So even from the start of that time, it was bouncing and the Mexican wave was going around. Like I said, I've never seen it so lively in my life being St. Mary's.
Well, so we'll come back to G, my amazing co-host. Do you want to come in and ask a question for the amazing Holly?
Yeah, I'm just interested. Have you been to a Lionesses game before, or is this your first sort of taste of seeing them live?
So I can't remember when it was or how old I was, but my football club took a minibus all the way from Winchester to Wembley. And I feel I was about maybe 13, 14. I can't remember who they were playing. And I've been to one at Fratton as well. And that was when, what's her name? She now does punditry. She used to play for Chelsea. Karen Carney, yeah. And that was when Karen Carney was in the side. So that was quite a while ago when I watched them at Fratton. So I haven't been to a lot, but I've been to a few, if that makes sense. But it was ages ago.
Yeah. And from watching that game the other night, who I know obviously watching it live is a little bit different to the telly. Sometimes you could pick up a bit more.
Yes.
So what player really has stood out for you in that game and so far in the tournament for England?
I think for me personally, obviously Russo has just blown up from nowhere. She's been incredible. Obviously, yes, she comes onto the game when the side are, what should I say, later on in the game when the side are like tired. So she does have a massive impact. But that goal that she scored against Northern Ireland, oh my word, the turn and then the finish, it was immense. Sadly, it was down the other end because, like all things, it has to be the other end. Those type of things happen. But no, it was incredible. I loved it. So yeah, I think she's proper coming on. So I would have to say her for her sheerness of being like, okay, I'm not starting, but I'll come on and I'll prove a point. And she's done so, and she's done it in great fashion.
Yeah, nice. I think we all agree with her, to be fair.
Yeah, I won't disagree. Lottie, you want to come in? Lots. Go on, Van Top.
Yeah, no, I'm just obviously backstage. We're having a quick free chat. All domestic stuff aside, which player for you has stood out the most that is not Russo, and through every single game from the Lionesses consistently?
You already know my answer. I know why you've asked it because you want me to say it live on stream, but it has to be me though. Like, put my rivalry aside, it has to be me though. She is incredible, honestly. The way she shimmies past players like they're not even there, the finishes she does, it's just she brings the whole team together, and you can really see that from the way she finishes her goals, the way she can assist other players, and the way she just dribbles with that ball. It's just incredible. So yes, I've said it. Mido is the one.
Well, to be honest, if you hadn't said it, then I would have had words with you after the live stream. No, I'm joking. I can't put that kind of pressure on you. I apologize. No, it's fine. But no, you know what? It's go on, sorry.
I had to get her to say it. It's on record now. You've had it.
It's gonna be clips now, forever and ever.
Lottie, that's fantastic work. That's great work you've done there. But then we're Holly, coming back to you. Actually, I'll tell you what. I want to come to my two fantastic co-hosts, and I'll come back to you. Quite a basic general question. In terms of the first half, we kind of discussed when we had the amazing Sophie Nicolau on from Hybrid Squad. Big up Sophie for that. Fantastic, man. Love you, Sophie, if you watch it. But I didn't think that we debated. Lottie, you posed a question to me last time. Actually, it was you. They said about, do you think there'll be any changes? And I kind of thought, you know what? If there might be a couple, but if there isn't, then I won't be surprised, sort of thing. And obviously, we would learn that Serena Williams got COVID, so she wasn't going to be there. And I wasn't surprised, to be honest, that there wasn't any changes. You know, back-to-back clean sheets. Defensively, we look quite good, even though there was a couple scary moments in the first half against Northern Ireland where they stretched us. But what did you sort of make of the first half performance from England, Lottie?
Yeah, no, it was all right. It was. Do you know what? The first sort of half hour for me was a bit slow. It took us a while to settle in. My train of thought's gone. I'm really sorry. Can you come back to me in a second? Sorry.
Yeah, go on, man. All right, it happens, man. G, take over, man. G, hit him with it, G.
Yeah, pretty much what Lottie was about to say there. We did sort of. It was a weird start. We were kind of slow with everything we were doing. We weren't keeping the ball very well. And it kind of, in my mind, I was like, as it grew on and on, I thought maybe we could have done with just one change, possibly a bit of a fresh leg in there to keep things ticking over. But as we grew into the game and sort of settled into it as well, we all know what happened from there, and everyone was back on form again, and probably Fran Kirby had her best game, I would say, so far. We've seen little snippets. I've been critical of her, but she was unbelievable in that game. Her goal was just top notch. So yeah, it was one of those. But again, quite early. No, it was actually half time, wasn't it? That we made a triple sub. The same girls all coming on, which I was buzzing to see. And it seems like every single game we've brought a sub on 10 minutes earlier. So the first game was in the 66-ish minute. Then it was 55, and then it was half time. So I obviously know it's not going to go into the first half unless we have an injury. But yeah, just interesting to see that was still the case. And maybe Serena didn't like how we were playing, because they did say that she was on the phone connected to someone on the bench. So, of course she would be. They always are. But I could imagine that maybe she didn't really like what she was seeing and wanted to just let it know that if you're not performing, you will be off. But yeah, no, I think the commentator said it as well. It's a different type of game. Yes, Northern Ireland are where they are with their funding and obviously just becoming professional in the last 6 months. It's an amazing achievement that they've already got to where they have with the limited access that they've had. But it's also not going to be, because it's like in a way a home nation. Those games are always a little bit different to playing the likes of Norway and Austria. So it's always going to be a little tighter. And I got to say, they were phenomenal in the first half. I was obviously happy we scored, but I was a little bit gutted for them because they just played so well and they could really be proud of their first half performance for sure.
Well said, G. Lots, I'm going to bring you back in just after I get Holly's opinion on sort of what I proposed to the esteemed panel and my co-host. Let me get the chat up quickly. Holly, you might recognize this person. I'm not really sure.
I do.
Great. Thank you, Mark, for tuning in. It's much appreciated. Mark, if you haven't hit the like button already, hit it for my channel and Cannon Chatter, please. Great panel with new holds back now. And after coaching and managing ladies football, how proud can you be with the talent and skill England women have shown? The doubters in this tournament, incredible. You know what? Like I said, probably a few weeks ago, it's probably the best crop of England players that I've seen for a long time, to be honest with you. But Holly, so we're coming back to the game. I think the first half, what Northern Ireland did well, what Norway didn't do well, was really restrict England in the midfield. They played a very high line. They kept England. They kept it very narrow. They didn't give England a lot of possession to play, particularly in the middle of the park with Kira Walsh and obviously Georgia Stanway. But yeah, what did you sort of make of the first half? And what do you think England did well, didn't do well, or was it a case of a bit more credit to Northern Ireland?
I think a little bit of credit to them, but I think the amount of chances we had as well, we just couldn't finish it off in that first half. It was so frustrating. Obviously, when the penalty decision came in and it took an age to happen, I was like, oh my word, here we go again. But the funny thing is, the person that gave that away is obviously Laura Rafferty, and she plays for Saints. And obviously, I think that's why she got so many minutes at St Mary's, because obviously that's her home ground. But I was like, oh my, this is going to be horrendous for her if this penalty is given. But obviously for her it wasn't. And for VAR, it actually worked properly this time, which was good, and obviously not good for us. But then it kind of said to us, right, now we need to do something. It's not going to be handed to us, because me included, I thought this Northern Ireland game was going to be a walk in the park. And obviously from the previous results we've had, I was like, it's going to be easy. It's going to be there for the taking. We just got to go score some goals. But credit to Northern Ireland, like you say, they did restrict us and they did do a good job. I think the first chance we had really well was obviously, was it from Kirby, where I thought she should have shot, but she drilled it across the box, and then we just skied it over the bar, I think. And then after that, Kirby managed to score that wonder strike. So I think it was just not taking our chances, really, when we were in those goal-scoring positions. I think that's what we could have worked on better. But, like I say, Northern Ireland did their very best at restricting play for us. And they were doing well, but the gates kind of opened at half-time because you could tell they were tired.
No, well said. Yeah, because like I said, I always said this, man. I don't care how fit you are as a footballer. You can't press for 90 minutes. You just can't. And if you're coming up against a team of England's quality and depth, 60, 70 minutes, and you kind of saw, we'll touch on a bit about the second half, obviously, but you saw the golfing class, and obviously England was quite dominant. But Lottie, coming back to you sort of in the sort of first half, Holly sort of touched on it. The chances England did have, they had a chance with a bronze header, but they also had a golden chance with Ellen White. And to be honest, when she hit it, I didn't think it was in. When Bronze put her through, I didn't think it was going to go in, and it didn't. Was any concerns at that point, or did you think it was a case of, as was mentioned in commentary, actually, England just need to be a bit more patient, and the passing needs to be a little bit more, a bit quicker, a bit more one touch, bit more two touch football. What's your thoughts?
Do you know what? I think with Ellen White, as like when some of us jump on like a test stream on StreamYard, we sit there and watch the game. We've got this thing now. How many shots will Ellen White till she gets it in? And we're at the point where we're sitting at the 6 and 7 bar. The other night it worked because it got for the goals that she did score, she hit 2 and then it went in. And the thing is, like with Ellen White, she I don't know what it is. She just can't get it on target. She's had some really, really good chances through this tournament. She has even in the World Cup qualifying where me and G have done our shows as well. And I don't know how many chances she needs all the time to keep doing it consistently. Whereas other people, like say Fran Kirby, she took a shot, went straight in, sublime goal. Russo, great goal. And it seems to be her. I don't know if it's her being impatient or hitting the ball wrong. I just can't explain how many shots does this woman need to get it in the back of the net. But when it does go in, it's absolutely brilliant. I think frustration for us throughout that game, I think the first signs of frustration during that when we were losing our patient was Millie Bright. Her shot, she'd had enough of sitting down the other end of the park, and she just absolutely...
Thanks, Mark. You're too kind. Go on, let's go.
Sorry, I've lost my train of thought again.
I can come back to you. G, come in.
All right, don't worry.
Leave it. Go on, G.
Yeah. Just interested to hear. We've spoken a lot about the players, obviously, so far. But highlighting the importance of the midfield. What do you make, Holly, of the likes of Kira Walsh? Because for me, she's one of those players that does the job, but you don't hear her name too often, so people overlook her. But when we've seen the heat maps, we always sort of discussed it as well. She's absolutely everywhere. So what did you make of her when you saw her the other night?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Holly, before you come in, I'm gonna put an image on screen. It's Kira Walsh's heat maps for the last 2 games against Norway and Northern Ireland, and then come keep speaking. Sorry.
Yeah, so I think you're right. Like, I don't want to translate it into obviously Tottenham terms, but that's mainly what I know. But there's players in the Tottenham team that you don't notice because they just run around. And I think, like you say here, Kira Walsh is exactly the same. Look at that heat map. She's literally all over the place, pretty much. Apart from obviously the boxes, that's incredible to think that she's managed to cover that much ground and to be so unnoticeable. And they're the players that are actually the ones that are doing all the hard stuff, the nitty gritty stuff that, like you say, you don't really point out on because they're not getting really the assists. They're not really getting the goals, but they're making the hard work before you get to that point. So I think you agree. I think she's kind of an unsung hero in this England squad because of all the hard work she's doing on and off the ball, really.
Yeah.
Right. Go on, G. Carry on.
Just slightly off topic as well, just because you obviously are a Spurs fan, and it's just interesting. We don't have currently any Spurs players in the team. Are there any that are sort of close or have made it into the provisional squads this year, or any that you think that we could be looking out for next season potentially?
I mean, I might get a nationality wrong, but I'm pretty sure she's I'm going to get this wrong, English, but Ashley Neville, maybe? Is she English? I'm not too sure off the top of my head, but it's really funny because I think it was two years ago that Tottenham had a friendly at Eastleigh, and obviously at the time I was playing for Eastleigh. and the Spurs girls came and played there against Southampton women. So not actual Saints, it's a different Southampton club in the area. And they all came down. And from that point on, I was like, I love Ashley Neville to pieces. And I know Lottie don't like her so much, but I loved her. And Jay was saying, oh, she's not that good. Because I think when we went and watched them versus Chelsea, she had a bit of a stinker at Stamford Bridge. And now since Jay said that, she has been phenomenal. So I think for me, Ashley Neville would probably be one. I'm not sure if she plays for Spurs anymore, but Rachel Furness was obviously playing for Northern Ireland the other day. I'm not sure if she's moved on loan or she's still at Tottenham. That's how bad I am.
She's just been promoted up to with Liverpool, so she's back in the WSL next season.
Super. So there you go. So like I said, she's already playing for Northern Ireland. So the quality, I know it's slightly off topic, but we talk about the quality between the two different sides. They slowly are coming up because obviously Rachel Furness and then you've got Laura Rafferty and stuff. They are good, so it is coming up for them. But yeah, for going back to your point, I think Ashley Neville for me would be one to look out for.
Nice.
G done?
Yeah.
Holly, so sorry, it's Holly. Sort of, I'm gonna before I bring Lottie back in again. Back to Kira Walsh, because obviously I've made no secret as my two co-hosts know, and I love the woman to pieces. Like Perlo of the women's football, she's brilliant. And I think that what the heat map illustrates is, and I mentioned in the last stream, she's a perfect example of letting the ball do the work. If you look at the areas of the heat map, there's nothing she's received in terms of a pass within their own penalty area. She's always in that position where you're not exerting too much energy, and she always looks forward. So her ability to switch play and the one touch, two touch, and when you've got the talent around that England have in terms of whether it be the fullback area or Stanway or the two wide ladies in Mead and Hemp, then of course you can let the ball do the work. And like I said, I think she's exceptional, and she doesn't probably get the headlines that the likes of Hemp and Mead will get, but she's integral to the way England play. And as we'll discuss later on in terms of who England's next opponents are, it's going to be a pretty tasty quarterfinal, I think. It's going to be very, very interesting. But yeah, Lottie, come in, man. Vantos, come in.
Yeah, no, this is going to be a bit of a wild card for you one, Holly. I do apologise about this. But I know we've got our Walshes, we've got our Meads, and all everyone's favourites. But I think someone that is missed, that does fly under the radar, is our Rachel Daly. Over in the US, she is a striker, but over here, she's a centre back. What have you made of her tournament so far?
I think, yeah, like to show that she can be so versatile and switching from that position to that just shows you that she's quality in both areas. So I agree with you. I think having obviously Millie Bright kind of show her the ways as well, because she has been immense this tournament. That
one of their besties.
Literally everything comes into the box, it's cleared out. And I think she's really obviously, like you said, they're besties, they're good mates together. So they trust each other as well, which is what you ideally need at the back. So yeah, I think they're really coming on well. And I think everything starts from the back and you can progress it through. And I think having rocks at the back to then carry us forward is a highlight and a true testament to those two.
Good shout. I want to come in and ask my two fantastic co-hosts, as well as being Arsenal fans. And this is where we're going to be a little bit biased, because I want to sort of talk about our captain, Leah Williamson. So I'm going to come to G first. Got the heat map of her last performance, actually. Good old Leah, of course. Yeah, so we'll get up on screen. Okay. Before I bring you in, G, what I think it illustrates, me personally, and people in the chat, whether you might agree, disagree, or Lottie and G and Holly, is I'm not sure in terms of when we had the Arnold Clark Cup games, and to my surprise, as I'm sure it was to you guys, that Serena Wigman played as a double pivot in midfield, because I didn't see that coming. I thought, well, okay, maybe she's seen something. But obviously in this tournament, she's fantastic partnership with Millie Bright at the back. But I think what the heat map sort of illustrates is her ability to bring the ball out of defense and be very comfortable coming into the midfield area to create an extra person. Obviously, defensively, you need to be on job, and that's your main job. But I think that with Millie Bright's ability to hit the diagonal pass as well as Leah Williamson, what did you make of Leah sort of in this tournament as a whole? And obviously, like I said, maybe people might not look at a sort of performance in terms of centre back in regard to the last game. What did you make of our captain Leah Williamson?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but hearing she was captain was kind of a random one for me at the time, because I thought, she's not the Arsenal captain, so I thought there would be people in front of her, but obviously she shows these qualities that we don't see, player to player as such, and it just I know it kind of was announced before the tournament, so she was able to adjust, play a few games in that role as well. But it just seems like every single game she just grows like immensely. There's a few times where the camera's quickly gone to her, like for a corner, for example, and she's the one you can catch her organising everyone, and Millie's talking to her and listening, and you can sort of see her going like, yep. So the trust that they all have in her just goes to show how incredible she actually is behind the scenes. But in this game as well, she did come into midfield quite a lot in that half, and I liked it because I do kind of bias to someone that's on the bench that I feel like should be on the pitch and push her up. But I just what she can offer. Some of the balls that she was playing through, I know she still does that from defence. A much 60-yard pass diagonal up the pitch, but some of the sharp balls she could play through the back line go underrated sometimes, I think. And it's just, again, versatility for that is incredible. But there was also, she did have a chance. It was, I don't know if you guys saw it or remember seeing it. She went up for a header. Yes. And it came to her, and I don't think it was she didn't think it was coming to her. So she kind of went one way and her legs went the other. And I was cracked up. But I was, it's one of those points where you just really want her. I think she really does. They all deserve a goal. Of course they do. But I feel like a goal would just up the ceiling for her completely. But yeah, overall, I think she's been incredible. Especially in the first game, we've mentioned it that she stopped herself from getting quite emotional because she could see her mum and the national anthem and everything. Yep. So she's taken steps. She always has a game face on when she walks out. And I just think it's a lot of pressure. She's quite a young player still, isn't she? So the way she sort of handled the whole thing and led us to where we are now and hopefully further. I couldn't be more proud of her.
Gee, that's a top answer. Before I'm going to bring Holly, I'm going to come to Lottie. Lottie, I think you know what the thing with me when it comes to a captain, right? And I'm old enough to sort of go back in the not the dark ages of football. I'm not that old, but you know what I mean. I think there's this thing about being a captain. You've got to be someone that's got to be shouting and barking orders, and she's not that, because I've heard that even Taryn is saying in terms of sort of being an extrovert or introvert, she's quite an introverted character. And you can kind of see that her demeanor. She's quite cool, calm, and demeanor. So what have you made of her sort of captaincy and obviously how she's played? And what have you made of our captain, fantastic Leah Williamson?
Yeah, no, I was just listening to G&G, couldn't have put that any better, I have to say. But I think we also need to stop and remember that there's a lot of leaders across that team. There's a few players that have been there for absolutely years. The likes of Jill Scott, there's Lucy Bronze. They've been there for so long, and for someone who's been around for maybe three years now to become captain is absolutely incredible, especially when she's not captain at home. As G said, it is absolutely brilliant. I mean, you see how focused she is. Before the game, pitch side photos, the whole team's sitting there smiling, but her and Kira Walsh, because they know they've got a job to do. And it's probably a case of concentration, or she was trying not to cry in front of her mom, etc. But it's a case of she knows the task in hand and she knows what she's got to do. And I think if she's not... in the women's game, I've never really seen a captain bark orders, unless you're Kim Little and Arsenal are losing. I'll be honest with you. I've seen her do that once or twice where she's had to keep people calm, but
different ways to captain, innit? I never buy into that.
But in a women's game, you don't really see that stereotype for a captain. I'll be honest with you. From what I've seen, I've never seen it.
No, well said. No, I'm gonna come. Sorry, Holly, I'm gonna come to you. Got you mixed up there. I was getting confused myself. But no, so we'll touch on Leah Wilson a little bit. But I want to ask you about Fran Kirby, actually. I thought she was excellent the other night against Northern. Not just for the goal, but I could, you know what? I know she, like I said, I mentioned in the last show. I know some people have maybe their doubts or she has her detractors, but when you watch her play, and there's many occasions actually in the first and the second game where she picked up brilliant areas of the pitch, particularly in the final third, but the ball wasn't given to her. I saw that on quite a few occasions. But she's just got that. She's got that for me, what I call footballing IQ, sort of game intelligence. She knows when to pass. She knows when to shoot. She knows when to give the ball 5 yards or 20. She always finds that pockets of space. I thought she was excellent. Obviously scored a fantastic goal. Great techers. Top bins, I would say personally. But yeah, what do you make of sort of Leah Williamson captaincy wise, and also Fran Kirby sort of input into the game as well?
Yeah, because like you said, she's not very old, is she? And like G and Lottie have said, she's come in and there's already these characters that are well established, got loads of experience. She's slotted in and she's not giving them orders, but she's basically telling them what to do or directing them. So to be able to do that at such a young age, and like you said, she's not captain at home, it shows that she's really come on, shall we say, and she's willing to work hard, and that clearly shows in how well we're doing at the minute. So yeah, I really like her. I think she's class. And when they do the PR stuff as well on Twitter and obviously all of the YouTube stuff, she's such a lovable character as well. So you can see why everybody trusts her, because she's genuine. And I think that is probably one of her biggest traits. I think how genuine she is. So I really like her, and I think she is probably one of the reasons why we are doing so well as well. And in terms of Fran Kirby, I think obviously when the tournament started, we all saw on the team sheet, I was a bit like, she's been out for quite a while. We're just going to slot her straight in. Okay, sweet, let's go for it. And like you say, when in that first game, I was like, wow, she's back. She's back, all right. She was like finding those pockets of space, like you mentioned. And it's just the killer instinct as well, to know when to zip that pass or when to know to just hang off the power a little bit and slip it in behind. So yeah, she's cracking. And like I said, she deserved to get obviously that whiz bomber of a goal, I like to call it. But I think she had a whiz bomber. It was a proper whiz bomber, a proper curly one. But it was just before that as well, and I was a bit like, oh mate, you should have had a go yourself there. And that's when she drilled it across, because where I was sitting, I was like, the keeper has not got her positioning right here. You're going to slot it near post, but she went for the cross instead. So that was a bit like, okay. And then obviously she probably thought, you know what, I'm going to have a go here. And she got it in. So yeah, I'm really pleased with her, and I'm glad that obviously she's got over this long-term injury thing, and that she is back to playing to her best, because I think we do need an intricate little player like that to know where to instinctively play it. So yeah, she's been cracking.
Yeah, 3 assists and a goal. Not bad. Good stuff, Kirk. Good stuff. G, come in, G.
We've asked some other guests this as well before, but the change that Serena has brought to this team, as opposed to where we kind of were with Phil. Yeah, it was Phil Neville, wasn't it? Yeah, Phil Neville.
Yeah.
And also the way that she's quite ruthless in her managerial tactics of, if you're not performing, you're coming off. Like, regardless of not that saying Ellen White isn't performing, but you know, if she hadn't scored, she came off at halftime, and she's the record goal scorer. And we wouldn't really necessarily see that a year ago with the men's team, would we? So what do you make of her like ruthlessness?
I love it. I'm all for it. If you're not performing, get off. That's it. You lost your chance. Try and get it back next time. I think that's the way to go, because in a tournament, it's not like obviously the league. You've got literally one shot at this, especially now we're getting into the quarterfinals. So you need to perform then and then, or that's it. You've kind of lost your chance. And I kind of like it. I think that's the way it should be, especially in tournaments and things like that. So yeah, I really like her. And like you say, she's been there, done it before. And she wants to instill that at England too. And I think, like we've all mentioned, like Albert mentioned at the start, this is probably the best crop of players we've had. So we need someone that's going to be able to deliver and get a trophy that they all deserve, because they really do. I don't think it's a bit like the Euros last year with the men's. I think that's probably the best kind of time we're in a good position to win it. It slipped away, sadly, for us. But I think for the women, we've got the right manager. We've got the best crop of players. The thing that we need now is that trophy, and I think this will be, hopefully, touch wood, the year for us.
Good stuff. Great stuff. Van Totti, man, come in, man.
No, just to add on to that, to what you were just saying, Holly. Can you imagine the scenes if the women got the Euros before the men's? Can you imagine them?
I can, but if I'm going to
the outrage that goes with it,
I would. But the only thing the trouble with me is I know we both support both. And the only thing that's really like, I'm a bit like this with it, because obviously I don't want I don't want hatred to come out of it and be like,
Yeah,
oh,
100%.
so that I'm not watching the women anymore because I detest them playing because they've done it before the men, or they've only done it because the standard wasn't the best it could have been compared to. That's my only thing that worries me about that statement, if that makes sense. Like, I would personally love it. I think it'd be hilarious. But I'm also like, hang on a minute, I don't want to divide the England
100%.
fans,
Well
if
said.
that makes sense.
Well said.
That's
No,
my
I
only concern.
completely get that. But the thing is with that, I think that divide is already there.
That's the thing. I don't want to divide.
I don't know
anymore.
if you saw the tweet the other day from the ex Crystal Palace manager, owner, not manager. I forget that is some idiot. When Reynard's penalty miss, not once but twice, it was really bad. And it's. Do you think it's fair to on that in that moment? Do you think it's right to be painting the whole sport with just that mistake?
No, I don't think so. But I also think that I don't think it's as bad for the men. But say if let me think. Say if for me Emerson has a shocker of a game, and I'm like, right, I'm done. I will criticise him till the hills come home. And I think the difference is, I think people with those kinds of thoughts, I just feel sorry for them. I feel like they're so narrow-minded, and if you can't see that women's football is gaining traction, and yes, we know the standard probably isn't where it could be yet, because some of these girls have got Ireland, they've only just got proper funding. And I think that's the thing that these people forget. And like you said, the ex-Crystal, what was it, the geezer that owned it, I think he's a dinosaur. I think that's the thing. They're a dying breed, those type of people. And sadly, yes, there'll be young people that will still be the same, but I just feel sorry for them because they're shutting off that door to a sport that they could learn to love as well. And I think we all know that if you put men's football next to women's football, yes, they look slightly different, but the talent is the same. I think that's the thing that everybody forgets. Yes, men's football can be quick at times, but also women's football can be quick at times. I think we need to stop comparing both and just like them for what they are, separate. I think that's the real issue. And there will be dinosaurs that will compare it, but I'm not for it really.
Yeah, let me comment on that. No, to sort of back up what you say, I think it's not just exclusive to football. Like I said, I as much as I love football and Arsenal and international football, I watch and like a lot of other sports. And you could probably argue the archaic attitude and people's thoughts across many different sports. In the last, I don't know, let's just say last 10 years or whatever, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. I've been fortunate enough to see the England women's rugby team win the World Cup. I've seen the England women's cricket team win the 50-day World Cup. Unfortunately, you're still going to have very, very, to put it politely, old-fashioned views about women in sport, unfortunately. So, Holly, I hear what you're saying in terms of, you know what, if England win the Euros, they win the Euros. I don't see it as, a one up on the guys for not doing it in the last Euros, or I don't look at it like that. I've never looked at it like that at all. I just want them to do well. I've seen some amazing individual women win sporting things. The tennis, Emma Raducanu. I never thought I'd ever see a British woman win a singles title in my lifetime, anyway.
And
but
she's
what
a
she,
Spurs fan.
Holly, you know what? I'm going to boot you out of the chat for saying that. That devastated me. But yeah, she's done something for example, she's done something in tennis which has never been done before in the men and the women. So I hear what you're saying. Yeah, there's some very, unfortunately, Lottie, I think just, you know what, whether it be Simon Jordan or some other ex-football owner or player, listen, it's a good thing they don't vocalize what they really feel, some of them, because you'd be like, flipping hell, these guys really need to sort of come out of the dark ages. But unfortunately, that's always going to be there. But listen, let's hope England go and win it, man. Irrespective of whatever people's views of women's football are. If they don't want to get on board, they don't want to get on board. Only they have themselves to answer as to why they want to treat women differently in sport, not just football, to the men. That's a debate and an argument that's going to carry on for long after I've gone off this earth, believe me. But hopefully by then things will be a lot better than then, to be fair. But no, it's a great talking point, to be honest with you. But sort of bringing it back to the beautiful era 2022. Holly, coming back to you. England, 14 goals scored. I believe that is a record in this stage of the tournament, going back to Germany in 2011. I believe so. 6 different goal scorers, 3 clean sheets. I guess my question to you really would be, obviously we know now England will be playing Spain on Wednesday. I don't know how much you've seen in the Spanish. I'm going to bring in obviously my 2 amazing co-hosts. So what's your thoughts sort of coming into that game against Spain?
Well, those were some beautiful stats, I must say. They line us up for a lovely, jubbly game against Spain. I'm going to hold my hands up and say, no, I haven't watched a lot of the Spanish, so I couldn't really give you a great educated response to that. But if I'm going to sit on the England side and be like, with those stats, with those different goal scorers, with the ruthlessness of our manager, there is no way that we are not beating them. And I don't want to jinx it because I might have done so. I'm going to touch the wood. I think we have got a very good shout in beating them. I wouldn't say thrashing them because, like we say, the pressure will be on this game. It's not like the last 3 games where we've blitzed them. So I think, yes, the pressure will be on, but with the quality and the pure, what should I say, enthusiasm and dedication at the minute, there's no way we're not beating them. Not thrashing, sorry. We've got to be beating them.
Very, very, very confident. I'm going to come to my 2 amazing co-hosts, actually. One person I've been very impressed with, and it's been touched upon during the live stream. I mean, I heard her name, Alessia Russo, in terms of, but I need to see her play more. I need to see more minutes and what she brings to the table up front. That second goal. Now, let me talk about both. goals. Lucy Bronze, big up. No, was it Brems or me that did put the cross in? I can't remember. I've lost my head. But anyway,
Bronze, I think.
So that was a brilliant header because as tall as she is, she's leaning backwards, and you put it back the opposite direction. Now let me come to the second goal. Now, Lord of mercy, what a touch! You know what? The pass by Toom was a good pass. People say, "Oh, she hit it a bit too hard." I said, "No. Trust me. If she doesn't play the pass the way she plays it, did you see that swivel and touch, people? Are you out of your mind?" Yeah. And the emphatic finish.
It was insane. I can confirm this. It is an official GIF on Twitter as well. That's how insane. Someone's actually gone in and gone in. You might have seen me tweet it. It was just, it was mind blowing.
When I saw the replay, I said, "Oh my God, did you see that first touch? That Tekers is madness." So, Lottie, I'm coming to you. We've obviously seen that there's been no unchanged team for England's 3 games. Understandably, right? Because the woman knows what she's doing, is Serena Wiegman, and she's got a good strong trainer game as well, as I mentioned in the first show. It's a tough one because do you think Serena Wiegman, and what do you think? Do you possibly think there's a potential chance Russo could start instead of Ellen White, or is it just going to be Ellen White will start the game?
I think this is going to be a very long debate, but it's a debate like, who do you start? Do you start Russo or do you start White? It's always the question, but it's always the case of who's got more caps, and who's got the more experience, and it is always going to be White because she's always heavily featured in the side, and it's personally I'd like to see Russo start at some point. But I also like her coming off the bench because she is another one of those impact players that does change the game. So I'm not really fast who starts, as long as we get the goals. Look, Spain, we know they've got nobody up top. They've got no goal scorers. So we haven't really got an excuse not to be scoring.
Lottie, let me come to you quick before I come to G. I mean, she should have scored a hat. I couldn't believe when she put it over the bar. I was like, oh my God, man. Mead would have had another assist as well. Do you think it would have made an even remote chance her possibly starting on Wednesday if she scored a hat-trick?
Yeah, that probably would have changed the game, I think. But I don't know if she just was. I don't think she was actually looking at it properly from where I've watched the replays. But I just don't know how she did that. It's just it's boggling. It is absolutely boggling. It's like, I think I saw one of those from Kate McCabe last season. Yeah. It's just mind blowing.
Nice, man. Yeah, G, come in. What's your thoughts about the Russo-White debate? Or more so, let's give a bit of credit to Alessia Russo because she got the Euro 2022. She got the Euro Player of the Match after the game. We'll come to sort of the other sort of the one on Twitter, the poll with the E. But yeah, what's your thoughts about Alessia Russo and that amazing brace, particularly the second goal?
Yeah, I really like her. Completely knew nothing about her really, other than a slight appearance for United against us. I think it's the FA Cup. She knocked us out. So that's all I really knew. But yeah, I don't know if I've said it to some people before, but I really like watching interviews on like YouTube of individual players and just those get to know me video type things, because it tells you a lot about the person as well. So I've been watching ones that have popped up with Alessia, and she's done her work to really get to this point. She went to America when she was 17 with Lotta Wubben-Moy actually, and went out there to learn her game. So I think it's a little bit, she's, we all know how good the American teams are and how hard they work and the standard out there. So I think that's really sort of brought her into where she is now. She offers a little bit different to like the typical English player. So yeah, I would love to see her play, but it's one of those things, isn't it? Either way, if you do it and she doesn't score and then White comes on, the debate spins on its head again, doesn't it? But
it's a good problem. It's a good problem.
You kind of, at this stage though, you have to sort of remember that it is her first major tournament, as opposed to Ellen White, who is the top scorer for England. She has got to, yes, we know she takes a lot of chances before she scores, but she's still she's on 2 goals, Alessia's on 3 in 3 games. I think it's probably more of a problem for Serena, how amazing that both your main striker and backup striker are both in the goals. That's not something you see very often. But for me, I would kind of keep it how it is at this stage, just because obviously Spain are a different kind of opposition.
Very different. Yeah.
They're going to hold the ball a lot, so we're going to be knackered. So those fresh legs are really going to be vital for us creating chances still. So I would, for now, just keep it how it is, really, and have Ellen sort of starting the game, getting into it. If things don't work, we know we've got a class player coming off the bench. But it's also you don't want this pressure that we sort of seem to put as not us, but as the country. As soon as a name starts coming out of nowhere, a lot of pressure gets put on, and I wouldn't want to see her not score and then things sort of turn. So I think you have to sort of manage it a little well. But yeah, I mean, she's just phenomenal, isn't it? And it's absolutely madness that she might be leaving United for free next year. So
wow,
imagine seeing her coming down to Arsenal. She is a United fan though, so I don't know how much she would leave. But yeah, it's another thing as well. There are players, so it's going to be interesting to see how the girls also take this form into the league, because it's only going to put the levels up in our league as well. So yeah, I'll keep it. I reckon we'll keep it with Ellen for now and have her as that option on the bench.
Yeah, some people, big up to you, G. Some people kind of put that in the chat as well. Big up to the people in the chat. Thank you for tuning in. Obliterate the like button, man, on both channels, people, but if you haven't done it already. But I'll trust you that you have. So if you haven't, then just sneak away for 2 seconds and go do it. But Lotta, I'm going to bring you back in quickly. I'm going to ask Holly something. Obviously, England, stat-wise from the last game, lots of possession, no surprise. 27 shots. I think they got 25 shots in the last game against Norway. 15 on target against Norway and 8 goals. 7 on target the other night against Northern Ireland. Corners 9, foul 6. I think it will be a little bit different on Wednesday, as it's been mentioned, because obviously Spain dominate nearly probably about 60-70% possession when whoever they play. Sort of coming on to that game, so I want to get score predictions as well. How do you see the game going? Because I'll give you a little context. I think England they'll be happy to give up possession of the ball, because you're playing against a team that are technically not superior, but technically very good keeping the ball. So England can be very dangerous on the counter attack, and they've got the players to absolutely hurt Spain. We went to the game the other night. Yes, they got a very good centre back in Paredes, who's very good at set pieces, but it's going to be a very key battle. So where do you think the key battle will be for that big game on Wednesday?
Oh, it's got to be up at Spain's defence. The defence is very, very good. If you just look at their qualifying at the moment, I think there's 4-1 in their first game. They've only lost to Germany, and that was a very, very good game. We were both there. As I said earlier, they've got nothing up top in terms of goal scorers.
Yeah.
Athena Del Castillo does get isolated a lot, so she doesn't really get a chance to go on goal. If you isolate her, that's then finished up top. I feel most of the time. We saw that at Germany. Germany did that. Every time that girl had the ball, there was about 2 or 3 on them. She couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So, and she didn't even reach the final third most of the time when she had the ball. But I think we'll probably sit back and let them have the ball a bit more. But then come out on the counter on either side with the likes of Rachel on one side, Bronze on one side, and then we got obviously Hemp and Beth up the top. And it's also a case of how many times is it going to take White to score? I know I feel really guilty for saying that, because she is a class player, but it's just a case of how many shots do you need to get in the back of the net.
Look, you know what? It's not. You know why? Because it's tournament football, and when you get to knockout stages, sometimes you will not get more than 1 or 2 chances. That's the difference. And
I think.
Go on, come in.
Also, you mentioned Northern Ireland earlier. Looking at them, you've got to remember they haven't been around as long as Spain and the likes of England.
Yeah.
Northern Ireland are back where we were maybe 10, 15 years ago. And because, as Holly said earlier, they've only just become full-time, and that was in January.
Yeah, not long ago.
Whereas Spain, if you look across their team, a lot of them do play on home ground, which is in Barcelona. And across Europe, and then we've got 1 or 2 that do, like Honor Battle, she plays for United. So they've got the experience. Most of their players are full-time. So it's just a case of how we manage them. Some of our players will know. They've come up against them in Europe. They've come up against them on home ground if they play in the WSL. So we just have to roll the dice, really.
No, it's going to be. England absolutely should not feel sort of intimidated or scared by Spain, because with England have got some amazing quality, and the momentum is built up in the tournament. Listen, the one player I'm impressed with, Ella Toon as well, man. Every time I see her play, I think this girl's going to score every time she comes on. But G and Lottie, if you've got anything, let me know, because I'm going to just put another question to Holly. In terms of, I was talking about player of the match. Obviously, Russo got it in terms of the Euro committee, shall I say? But I checked on the fan vote, and there were the four people were Kira Walsh, Frank Kirby, Russo, and I've got the other one. But the person that actually got voted for was Kira Walsh. No surprise again, people. The voting was pretty tight when I voted, I must admit, but obviously time gone past. But yeah, Kira Walsh won obviously player of the match. Who was yours, Holly, in that game?
I'm gonna be boring and say Russo. Just for the turn, man. That did things to me, man. That turn was, like I say, the first 2 goals were down my end. The rest that were lovely jubbly, apart from obviously the Frank Kirby one, were down the other end. So and St Mary's, I'm used to big platinum TVs at the lane. This little bloody thing, I couldn't see half of it. It was like I've just seen it on the pitch. Now you've made it the same size on the TV screen. But no, when I got home and rewatched it, it was amazing. So yeah, it'd have to be Russo just for the turn.
Well, Holly, that is very conclusive, but that's absolutely conclusive. G, come in if you have anything to pose to Holly.
Yeah, I mean, just looking quickly over the quarterfinal fixtures now, there's one we're not completely sure, but we obviously is us, Spain. Then is Austria, Germany. We wouldn't face those obviously till the final potentially. France, Netherlands, which is going to be a very good game. And then Sweden are the other confirmed, and I think it's either Iceland or Belgium tomorrow that will and will be. I think how it works is we'll either be with Sweden or whoever the other team is. So do you think that, well, first of all, have you seen any of like the likes of Sweden or any of the other teams in the tournament so far, or have you just watched the England games?
I've literally just watched England. To be honest, that's what I do with the men's as well. With the World Cup, I'm not fussed about anything else. I just watch England. So no, but going off what you said earlier about Sweden, I'm a bit like, there might be a dark horse here. You know, they might creep up behind us. But with me, I'm kind of like, if we get, say, whoever next, we just got to go out there and play them. I'm not really one of these that are like, oh, I'd rather have unless it was Tottenham. But I'm not like, oh, I'd rather have these or I'd rather have them. In a tournament, I'm just like, whoever we face, we go out there, get the job done, happy days. Yeah. So I'm not really too fussed who we come up against next. Obviously, you said we're going to bypass Germany, so that's fabulous because that's one that I don't want to meet till obviously the final. And it'd be nice to play them in the final because, you know, all the rivalry and stuff. So, yeah, that would be lovely.
Yeah, but then again, like, I don't know about you, but I always feel, yes, sometimes we might, to progress, we might want to play like the likes of Denmark instead of Spain. But actually, when it comes to it, you want to be proud and say you've beaten some of the...
Yeah. Bring them on. Bring them all on.
So, yeah, whoever.
It is nice to be tactical about it sometimes because you are like, oh, that would be quite a nice, easy walkthrough or this, that and that. But in football, something's never, ever certain. So I'm like... Yeah. If you're going to play the best first, sweet, because then you've earned your place to be in the final.
Yeah, exactly.
Lottie, come in if you have anything at all for anyone.
I actually do. I do for Holly. I just touching on Germany again. I mean, we obviously beat them in the Arnold Cup. That's a bit of a mouthful. I don't really think right now it makes a difference if we come up against them in the next round. I mean, do you think we could do it again twice within a space of 6 months?
Yeah, why not? Let's have them, man. Let's have them. No, I don't know. Like I say, we bypass them, and would it matter if we played them? I mean, going off my point, I'm a bit like, nah, we'll just play whoever. But it'd be nice to leave that to like, because it'll be like a special. The final will be special anyway, but to play 100%. Them will just be another added level for it.
No, good stuff.
Definitely, there's a bit more when it comes to England and Germany. I feel sometimes as well, as an English fan. For sure.
Yes, 100.
Albert, I don't know if you two feel like this that way, but
yes,
a little bit more on there.
Absolutely. and you know, they're actually looking very good.
Solid,
you know, said how good Spain can be on the ball. They love to play two-touch football, which I love. And they keep a lot of possession, but they still lost 2-0. You know, maybe we could kind of do the Germany tactic of just absorb the pressure. Don't let them through and then nick a goal. And then it could kind of stay like that. But Germany are looking very good. So it would be a very tasty fixture regardless of what stage.
Well, come in lots.
I've got a question for you. Do you think Spain have really struggled without Jenny Hermoso and Alexia Putellas?
In layman's terms, a very short answer, yes.
But, I already know G's answers, so I just want to pick your brains.
No, they do. Like I said, when we watched the Spain Germany game the other day, they do play fantastic football. They're a beautiful team to watch. But the problem is, after about 60, 70 minutes, and Germany were brilliant. Like, you know, they were dogged and they stayed in the game, and they obviously got the goal, the mistake in the first few minutes by the Spain goalkeeper. Still don't know what the hell she was doing, but that's another day. But they make it easy because they play very narrow. But even when they do use the fullbacks, they just recycle the ball and come back in field again. So that's why I'm not saying England will wipe the floor of Spain, because I'm not saying that at all. Before people start putting words into my mouth, I think they should feel very confident that they can get the job done and beat them. To be honest with you, but yeah, like I said, Spain missing Alexia. Like Sophie mentioned in the last, it's like, you know, us losing a Messi or Ronaldo from a major tournament. She's that important. Come in lots.
Sorry about that. Yeah, no, 100%.
Go on.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, G, have you got anything to add to that? Because I know you're a massive Alexia fan, like I am. We've seen her play Arsenal and we got tanked in the Champions League, but she was just a joy to watch either way.
Yeah, it's literally the same as what Albert's saying. That kind of caliber of players, you know, she's won the Ballon d'Or. They say that about Hedberg of Norway. And it still carries, you know, once you've won it, it still carries you regardless of the years after you don't win it. Like you're always going to be at that stage. You were the best. And like, you know, we did manage to see her in the Barcelona game. Rubbish result for us, but just to see a different type of player. You know, the Spanish always have really fluent players. They do produce some good players. But I think with Spain, they've got something about them, but they just don't have a striker.
Yeah,
They just don't. They can give you everything, but the final ball, because there's no one there. So
yeah.
and I don't think it's a case of them even trying to play a false nine or anything. They just don't actually
No,
have
they don't.
an out and out
No.
striker. They've got everything else pretty much, but yeah, she's obviously a miss. And unfortunately, this tournament is picking up these types of injuries, as Albert said earlier with Katoto.
Yeah, it's a shame.
And these injuries are bad, which is also the length of time is knocking on the door for the World Cup. So it's a little concern in my brain that when we get to the World Cup, after the success of the Euros, hopefully, and as the season comes along, you know, the game gets bigger, more interest. That's how I mean it. I really hope that they can get fit in time for us to be able to see them on the stage at the World Cup.
Oh no, definitely 100%. I mean, I think we'd be a different team without our own Ballon d'Or winner, which is Lucy Bronze. Holly, can you imagine this team without Lucy Bronze at all at the back?
I really like her. There's times when I'm thinking I probably would have done something different there, but then I'm also not Lucy Bronze and also not played on the pitch on the world stage. But she is class. I think I've loved her since she's obviously been playing for England. I know she's away. I'm going to get this wrong at the moment. She's not in the WSL at the minute, is she? Or she's just come back.
She's gone to Barcelona. Yeah.
That's the one.
She's off to Spain.
She's been in Lyon, isn't she? She's been in Lyon?
Yeah. She's Champions League winner with them.
Yeah, there we go. So her experience is very vast, and to have her at the back and some of the balls she whips in are just incredible. Yes, Ellen White's had a few on her head that probably should have gone in the back of the net, but I think without Lucy Bronze and her wealth of knowledge, the way she can whip a ball in, I think we would be lost without her. I think.
No, definitely.
No, good shot. Sorry, before I didn't ask my two amazing co-hosts. Who was your player of the match for the England Northern Ireland game?
I don't think you need to ask me that question, to be fair.
I'm gonna ask you anyway because I need to get an answer.
Oh, it's got to be Beth Mead. It's got to be Beth Mead. 5 and 3 games. Top goal scorers on. I just every time I watch her, I just enjoy watching her. I mean, her switching wings with Lauren Hemp. She's been absolutely brilliant. I mean, she's having a flying season. Well, she had a flying season with the Arsenal, and now she's just taken that form on to England. I hope she brings it back for next season. I mean, we've got an early North London derby as well, which is very exciting. Hoping that will be hosted at the Emirates, if I remember rightly, if we're at home first. Could be wrong, Holly. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
I haven't got a clue.
It's got to be Mido all the way. All the way.
Right, now Lottie's gone with our own Beth Mead. 1 goal, 1 assist, 5 shots, 36 passes. 30 successful passes for all the listeners if you're wondering what's going on. There's an image on the screen, of course. I like an image. But G, coming to you. Who's your player of the match?
I'm going to say Leah. Because I think there was a tricky start. They got into us a little bit. Mary Earps had to make some saves early on. And as I say, you know, coming into the midfield to sort of get things ticking and leading us through it to get the win. Yeah. For sure, I think it was definitely Leah.
Good shouts, people. I'm going to go for Fran Kirby.
Nice.
Absolutely, yeah. I think Holly sort of touched on it. You need someone in that sort of, not just 10 role, but someone that sees the pass before even the commentators think there's going to be a pass. She does, and I think her getting the goals was a brilliant goal because, like we said, Northern Ireland for 40 minutes were excellent. And to get that goal before halftime, and obviously Beth scores with her twinkle toes afterwards. But yeah, Fran's goal was fantastic. And like I said, she makes great runs. She takes positions in great areas of the pitch, which I think goes unnoticed a lot of the time, actually. So yeah, I'm going to go for Fran Kirby. But people, big up to the people in the chat. Big up even more so to my two amazing co-hosts. They deserve awards in their own right. Forget the Euros. But and obviously got an amazing guest in my Tottenham. My YouTube wife, Holly Agambar. Because it's an international show. We're not talking about club. We're not talking about club teams this time. No. That can wait. There's plenty of time for that. But yeah, big up to people in the chat. Give your virtual waves goodbye. Also, G, thank you once again for another collaboration. where can the people find your amazing self?
Yeah, thank you. On Twitter, it's at Lil Trigger 2, as it says. And yeah, part of the Arsenal Fans Forever TV rebrand. So any information will all be on Twitter, so just check that out.
People, you heard it from the Queen of Penzance. Go and follow her right now and come into my amazing other co-host, Van Totti. Tell the people where they can find you and big up the channel.
Yeah, well, considering we're doing cross-channel, you can find me here on Cannon Chatter. Not on Albert JTV, but please do subscribe to both. You can also find me at Lottie_B10. That's 2 T's and 2 I's on Twitter. And it's also the same for Instagram.
People, you heard it there. Go and follow my esteemed co-host. And of course, last but not least, it's been a long time, Holly. I forgot what you look like, to be honest, but thank you for gracing us with your presence and this Euro 2022 collaboration. It's great to get you on, get your insight, and obviously you went to the game as well. So it's great to hear your sort of experience as a matchday fan. Where can the people find you to come and give you good feedback in your chat box you do live?
If you like the other side of North London, you can come and find me at Ollie Agenbar. Like I say this every time. I try to make it simple, keep it my name, and realise that my surname is very long and really complicated. But yes, thank you so much for having me on tonight. I really enjoyed it. I'm sorry my knowledge in other teams other than England aren't as good as they could be, but that's why I'll just talk about England and maybe Tottenham as well. Next time I'll make sure I change the decor. But if I took the rails off, I think Jane might have killed me if he came back into the office and all the Spurs shirts were on the floor. But thank you again for having me on. I did really enjoy it, and it's quite nice to not be the host once. It's quite nice to be asked.
Nice, isn't it? Nice.
It is quite nice.
It's nice, isn't it? That's a little bit of pressure off. You can relax and drink some glass of water you had there in the back.
Just water, only water.
No, much love for coming on. People, as I say, obliterate the like button. And obviously, as your joint co-host, Albert JTV, come and follow. So subscribe, Twitter handle at AUMO57. And as you can see, people, going on the bottom of the screen, everyone's Twitter handles and my Instagram as well. So people, feel free to come and follow me. So yes, that is the match review over and out, people. We have a big game on Wednesday. England versus España. Bring it on, people. We'll see you soon.